Hi, this is Jessica Sherr with HerFLiX here at Tribeca 2014. We have some awesome interviews for you, women in film, here at Tribeca. I'm here with Johanna Hamilton, filmmaker for 1971, and Marilyn Ness, also producer for 1971. I first want to talk about this exciting story. Tell us a little bit about this secret story of 1971.
Well, it's a heist story. It's a story of a group of ordinary Americans who put everything on a line on a hunch. They broke into an FBI office back in 1971 and leaked the documents that they took to the press and then ultimately with the American public. And what those documents revealed was a massive illegal domestic spying operation. Sound familiar?
Sounds good.
Yeah, and they were never found. It was one of the largest FBI investigations ever, and they were never found, and they're coming out in the film.
So now, did any of these stories existed? Who kind of tipped you off to this story?
The journalist to whom they leaked the documents in 1971, she was a journalist at the Washington Post at the time, and she wrote the first stories, which was sort of groundbreaking at the time.
Right.
And she's been a friend of mine for 10 years, and so she introduced me to the burglars.
And as a filmmaker, what made you say this story right now? It's not 1971, but I have to make this story.
Because it was an untold piece of American history. I mean, 99% of the people who watch this film probably will never have heard of the media break-in, which was this incident, partly because they were never found. So it's a heist movie. It's there's a great journalism story in there. So it's sort of a mix between a heist film and All the President's Men. It's really wonderful.
I came onto the film later than Johanna. I came in service to her story and her vision. And for me, hearing about this film and the burglars who had never been found before and that they were only coming out now and that we would have this big scoop, for me was incredibly appealing in coming onto the project. It's very rare you get a film that has that sort of breath of fresh air, even though it's a story from more than 40 years before.
Yeah. And who were these people? I mean, they were ordinary families, they were suburban. Who were they?
Yeah, they were professors, largely academics, social workers, parents. One was a cab driver. One worked for that was a social worker. So very ordinary people like us.
And the toughest of the bunch, my favorite, is Bonnie. She's a mother of 3, and she really turns out to be quite the heroine of the story.
Wow. And as far as like these characters, were they the people that were described in 1971, or did you use a little bit of your poetic license to create these people?
Well, certainly we use recreations in the story, definitely. But we tried to cast the actors as closely as we could physically to the actual people, obviously, for it to be believable. And we wanted to meld seamlessly, but also obviously it's very obvious that they're recreations. But that was really a fun part of the story.
And who did you work with? From what I know, it's been a pretty much female team. How is that? Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was, and it was somewhat accidental, I have to say. I mean, I didn't set out to do that, but it was really fabulous, yes. Yeah. Virtually the entire team is female, except for the editor. We have a few good men on the story, but I have powerhouse Marilyn Ness, Katie Chevigny as producers, and then 6 phenomenal female executive producers.
Wow, not too shabby. And when you came across this story, you thought, well, she's my friend, I'll get to do this. But what made you take the risk to say this story has to be told?
For me, to have this never before revealed story of these burglars who are really amazing characters and had strong political convictions and kept themselves secret until today. To me, that was a really appealing thing. It's not often in documentaries you find a heist and you find a scoop of that nature, and to be able to help Johanna tell that story for the first time was incredibly appealing.
And this story was secret. You've been working on it for a couple of years, and all of a sudden it came out. How did that make you feel as a filmmaker? You could actually breathe. Right.
No, definitely. It was a huge relief to be able to talk about it. My colleague, who'd been working on the book, Betty Metzger, the journalist who wrote the first stories, she's written a book. So her book came out a couple of months ago, but nobody had really ever spoken to them or seen them properly. So it's a huge relief finally to be able to share the story with the public here at Tribeca.
Yeah.
And we were nervous over the course of the 4 years of making the film. We did a lot of things. We were very analog in this digital age. We didn't upload anything. It all moved by paper and human beings, and in an effort to protect the identity of these guys and keep them offline until we were ready.
Yeah. What would you like audiences to walk away with?
I mean, hopefully we've made an engaging and entertaining film above all, but we hope also that people walk out inspired. We're in the midst of a discussion on very similar issues right now. So hopefully people will feel inspired to get engaged, perhaps, or at the very least ask themselves, what does it mean to be an engaged citizen? Could I do what they did?
Yeah.
I mean, in this story, ordinary people did something extraordinary and helped change the world that they live in. So hopefully, inspiration is what we'd like people to leave with.
You've been watching a HerFLiX moment.